A little bit out of the way. What's up? What's up? What's up, John? What's up, Vegan Cookies? TPG, Matt HMM, Someway, our Makita specialist is in the room. Clint, Erica, Jeff Bowery. Y'all had a long pregame. What's up, Terry Burton? Wacky. Vegan's watching from Italy right now. What's up, Woodchuck? It was roasting out here earlier. It's not bad now. Like we had like a temperature change in the weather. So what have y'all been into this week? I'll turn my volume down. I'm hearing myself. I got all the electrical conduit and my conduit. I went ahead and put a conduit in the ground for data cable to come out here. Like right now, I just have one barely buried in the ground. I got all that ran from here up to the house. I got my core drills, holes drilled in the house and the boxes and all that. My junction box out here on the outside of my house with the pipe going in under the house. And then I got the pipe coming out the other side of the house going up into my panel. So basically I'm done with that other than running the wire. I've got to run the wire. What's up, Sam Lee? Lexi. I tell you though, I did buy my, so I had an old Milwaukee spline drive. It's going to get grease all over my hands. So let me get a different rag. Let's see. My old SDS Max drill was a spline drive. So that kind of a drive right there. So I got tons of bits. Like I would have had any bit I needed, but I could have either spent, I think it was going to cost me like $130 to buy an adapter to go from SDS Max, and I was just going to use that Bauer and use these bits. Or while I was looking around, they had these. And I decided I was just going to go ahead and buy these just to eat through them and see how well they worked. Let's see if I can find them. I got these on Amazon for 15 bucks a piece. And I mean, for 15 bucks, they were SDS. They're SDS Plus. So I got 1 3/4 and 1.5 inches. But I mean, they ate right through the brick like it was nothing. And I ended up, I already have it's in my box with the Bauer, but I got an SDS Plus to SDS Max adapter. I already had one of those. So I was able to use these with that in that Bauer just so it went faster. I could have done it with my Bosch 18 volt. But anytime I'm doing that kind of drilling. But for 15 bucks, I mean, the price of these at Home Depot, if I went to go buy them, was going to be like $100 and something a piece. And I drilled multiple holes through brick and block both. But I'll probably end up buying like actual better. I prefer the drill bits like my spline that I just have instead of those holes like that, just because most of the time it doesn't matter whenever I'm drilling mine what the inside's going to end up looking like. So I'm not necessarily core drilling or anything like that. What's up, Quaz? JTO J. Inc. I guess said, "Is there he missed the overall plans for the building? Is there a video?" Now, a few lives I've walked around outside. I've been filming like little snippets here and there, just from the start. I've got my block out there, the sand, the cement, and all that kind of stuff. I'm waiting on a guy. A guy's going to do the block for me. I'm hoping he's going to come tomorrow. He told me he thought he'd get out here later this week, but I hadn't heard from him yet, so I don't know. And then once he gets that done, then I'm going to pour the concrete slab in the new section and pour my 2 turn downs on the side. And then after that, it'll be all framing and all that kind of stuff. And then, once I get to that point, it's going to be 100% just me. So I'll probably do some filming at that point. But right now, it's a mix of me and other people and all that kind of stuff. So I've just been filming little things here or there in case I make a video later. I'll have little snippets. But I didn't ever make a video. Let's see. What's up, Killtronics? Steve's Wood Shop. What's up, Michael Benusi? Abraham Perez. Denny O'Fools. So yeah, this week I hadn't actually worked that much as far as work, but like I said, there for a while, I'm basically only doing service calls right now. For the near future, I purposely didn't schedule any bigger work. I scheduled myself not to be doing any for the next little bit because I planned on working on my building. So unless somebody calls me for something, I went and changed out that LED driver at that gym that I was talking about last week. I also went to town and looked at a couple things, but other than that, I've just been working here. I ran that electric yesterday and got that finished up. Now I'm going to order my wire, but I'm probably not even going to mess with doing that right now because I'm stubbing it up in my new building. So I'll probably wait till I get at least the roof and all that kind of stuff like that on. Michael said, anyone have the word for the date on the Klein ball handle? I never did get a date. I think Tools and Tactics, he said that he was texting back and forth with them, and he thought that they said it was going to be this week on Amazon, but the listing did just finally pop up on Amazon, like just within the last hour. I made a post to give you guys the link in case you want to add it to your list or whatever, so you can go back and check. But right now it's still just out of stock. But it's not out of stock because they sold out of it. It's no stock yet. Terry's ordered 2 of them from Acme. Yeah, somebody, I think it was John McCoy, just told me that you can pre-order them on Acme, and he said the date for shipment was like end of this month, beginning of September or something like that. That's what the pre-order said on that. But I don't know what Sapera. I don't know what that one I was supposed to say. Killtronics did nothing but service all this week himself. What's up, Elliot? Mad HMM said, I watch drain cleaning. I watch Handyman Experience all the time. Yeah, he does quite a few drains. Ray Apartment Maintenance just got a new camera. I watched him using it today down a drain. What's up, Kearney Creek Farm? Acme adjusted their price to $15.98. That's who I ended up ordering my swivel adapter through, and then like the next day after I ordered it, it was on Amazon because it wasn't on there yet. And then so I paid shipping for it and everything. Always makes me mad. I'd order more stuff from Acme, but everything I order most of the time is just small stuff. Like I buy a lot smaller tools than I do like power tools and stuff. And so it's always cost me a bunch of shipping every time I order anything from them. Killtronic said he works in a lot of schools and they always wait till it starts to fix. Yeah, our schools just started back too. Matt said he didn't have to paint all this week and he was thrilled. That's one of my least favorite things to do too. I'm not a big fan of painting. I don't care to do it, but it's not definitely on the very bottom of my list of things that I like to do. And it's more so, I didn't mind it as much like working at the campus that I worked at, because I could go set up my stuff, paint, clean up my stuff at that place and all that kind of stuff. But now that I'm working on my own out of my truck, going and painting somewhere, and usually I'm working in commercial spaces and they don't even have anywhere for you to clean your stuff up. So then you got to just put it in Walmart bags, wrap it up, hope you can wait till you get home to clean it type stuff half the time. And it's just not a fun experience to me. I just don't like doing it. Ben Reese, do I know when it'll be available in the UK? No, I don't even really know when it's like available, going to be available here. They didn't tell me anything. So I've always just been, Tools and Tactics, I know, was texting back and forth with somebody from Klein, and he was saying that it was going to be on Amazon first. So Kearney said, at this point, I'd rather paint than do electrical. Yeah, I don't know if do y'all have an Ollie's? If any of you have I don't know if that's I don't know how often like the Ollie's, I don't know if that's just a random store. We've got one in the town that I work in, and then there's one in another town. Well, the town where I did like that, the project where I was going into that one space and adding walls and all that kind of stuff. That wasn't in the town I work in normally. There's one in that town too, so I don't know how prevalent that they are. I don't know if you got those or not, but man, they got some pretty good deals at mine on tap cons and stuff. Well, like even like this, like marking paint. Like I bought a couple to be able to use out here whenever I was marking off and staking off everything to put my footers in. And I think I paid I went to Ace Hardware because it was the closest store to me, or TSC or somewhere, and got some. But I want to say I paid like $10 or something for a can. This is $2.99 for a can of marking paint. Then they had some small rollers. I didn't need these probably for nothing, but $3. But this was where I only picked up these, but they had every size Simpson strong tie and also the blue tap cons and all those things. Like this right here, I didn't have any white ones. Is the only reason why I bought this one. I didn't have any white ones in this size. So white Tapcon. So every now and then, if you hang something up somewhere that's white, you know, it's nice to have. I got black ones, white ones, stainless steel ones. But this right here was only $5 for 75. Normal price is $17, but they had every, like all of them were that cheap. Like $4 or $5 for a box of Tapcons of all sorts of sizes. But I've got tons of them, so I didn't buy any of the other ones. And then these were $1.49 for some little 1-inch exterior screws. Sometimes I need some of those. So mine has a bunch of screws and stuff, like dirt cheap. So I picked up some. I didn't know if that was a just locally type thing, or if it's a pretty commonplace. Denny said they're in Florida. Plumbing's never heard of it. He's in New York, so. Michael said he's got one by him in PA. Ollie's in Florida. Kiltronics use the blue Tapcons and use white out to color the heads. Yeah, I used to paint, like, especially I used to put in a lot of black stuff. I'm glad they finally came out with black Tapcons. Like, you can get them at Lowe's. I think the Tapcon brand actually, yeah, I think you can get them in the Tapcon brand and this brand right here, whatever brand this is. They're a lot cheaper in this brand, but the my Lowe's doesn't carry them. I have to order them and ship them to the store, but it's way cheaper for this one than the Tapcon. So yeah, you can get black. And ultimately what these are, though, because if you hammer them enough, they're blue and they've got black paint on them. That one's not been opened yet. Like if you take an impact and you really go to town on them, matter of fact, you can kind of see on this one. So black, but if you look real close, you can kind of see that blue right there. So these are essentially blue and been painted black. But this brand right here is a lot cheaper. Power Pro. But my Lowe's, you can buy them on Lowe's, but they're not in stock at my Lowe's. I have to order them and ship them to the store. I bought these for whenever I was putting up the black PVC board on that commercial space for fascia. I was using these for that. So yeah, I've got black ones, white ones. I've got some stainless steel ones for just in case. So if I'm putting up something outside or something, I try to use the ones that match the best. Steve said they got one in North Carolina. Trevin said it's crazy how anticipated the Klein True Grip is. I haven't been refreshing Amazon this much, maybe ever. Yeah, Abraham said he's got some within 20 miles of him. I think basically because they got different stuff in there all the time. But like every now and then, like you can go in there and get cases of monsters and stuff if they just so happen to have them for cheap. They've got like trail mix stuff, candy for dirt cheap. Every now and then they got some nice clothes like that's just it's name brand work type stuff. But I don't know if they go in and buy trucks of stuff or something. But it's always different stuff all the time. They sometimes always have some of the same stuff, but then like I've never noticed them having Tapcons and stuff there. I mean, they were dirt cheap. Like if I didn't already have whole containers full of them, you know, I would have for sure bought some more. Bump, bump, bump. I'm running low on guess the trade people, so I've got enough for at least next week and maybe 2 weeks, I think, after this week. I already got this week's filmed and I uploaded it today. I know I got enough for next week, but I want to say one of them doesn't have very many pictures, so I don't know if I got enough for 2 weeks or enough just for one. What's up, Robert? $400 power bill this month. Yeah, the ACs have been running pretty hot and heavy. If you've got one that's not very efficient, for sure. AC or new Klein driver. Like I said, I've got enough to do for a little while. I'm just throwing that out there in case you've been thinking about doing it. Yeah, I was taking the LED driver apart, seeing if I saw anything. I'm just always that way. Like if I've got a part that's not working, I get curious about it and start taking something apart to see if I can figure out what went wrong on it. But it looks like to me this one just overheated or did something. All this is melted pretty good. I haven't really changed that many of these either. In my course of time, it's kind of turned into like ballast and stuff. Most of the time, everything's just disposable. But this was a weird situation where the light was in a room with a bunch of other weird lights, and it needed to work instead of changing the fixture. Most of the time, most places, they just tell you to change out the whole thing. Our whole society is a disposable society. $698 power bill, Abraham said. Yeah, we used to have, I had an old train system when we first moved into this house, and it was probably like 30 something years old, I guess. And the air conditioner bill was bad, but it wasn't near as bad as like the heat bill during the summer because it's a heat pump, or during the winter. We were paying like $600-700 a month like that. Finally broke down and got a new system, and now it's a couple $100 or something like that. It's definitely, it'll pay for itself in no time. If you've got an old system, I know it stinks to be out that money like up front, but there's a big difference if yours is really old, like if you've got a really old one. Yeah, I got to buy some 6-gauge wire. I'm gonna need. I'm gonna run the NM cable in under my house, and then swap it over. That's why I put junctions on both sides too. THHN as far as putting it in the conduit. But I gotta buy probably about $900 worth of wire. And what stinks is I've got some 6-gauge wire over there in my big wire hoppery thing. And I got it out the other day because I was like, man, I guarantee you I got enough of this to at least make one of my conduit runs. I got it out and measured it, and I was like 3 feet short of saving myself probably because I got 3 of them enough to do that. So I would only had to buy like a ground and a neutral, but so that would have saved me probably like $250. 3 feet short. I've had them in there forever too, just in case I ran into something like that. AC's 30 years old. Yeah, you'll end up like it's gonna cost you some money up front, Abraham, but your bill will be crazy cheaper. So like if just over so many months, it'll pay it back. Don Mendenhall, trying to give my customer a 3D rendering of their finished project. What software is easy to use and has everything in it to input into the rooms? I don't do a lot of the 3D stuff. I've used SketchUp like a couple times, but I don't use it very often. Most of my floor plans that I do are always like the, just like your drawings and prints that you look at. Now in Visio, I've done 3D stuff before, but you just have to draw it yourself type thing. Like there's no like easy, quick and grab and just throw it in there type stuff. But I use Visio probably 90% of the time, and then I've used AutoCAD some, but I can't even tell you the last time I even used AutoCAD. It's been a long time. And then I've only used SketchUp a few times, but I don't do a lot of 3D stuff. But somebody else might know something. I don't know anything though. Chris said I change a couple hundred LED drivers a year. The LEDs might last almost forever, but the drivers sure don't. Yeah, most of the time if somebody's light goes out, they just tell me like it. But like I said, this was a weird scenario. It was at an Orange Theory fitness center, and they've got these orange lights, and they probably got like 40 of them inside that one room, and they had one that was bad. So it's not a matter of, hey, I'm gonna go see if I can find this light fixture again type thing. So, and the LED driver that was in it was actually discontinued, which that place was super good, man. If y'all are ever looking for something, and again, not sponsored, ballastshop.com. I sent them a picture of that one and said, this one's what I've got. I can't find this on y'all's site, and y'all have got 2 or 3 of them that I'm kind of in between would be the equivalent or comparable to it, and I'm not real sure which one would be the best. And they also had to program it to a different setting. They're programmable, and they did that for free, and then they mailed it to me, and I got it like within a day and a half, 2 days. I got it in my mailbox. So pretty good to do, and it wasn't that it was cheaper than even what they were on Amazon. So pretty good deal. But they had ballast. I guess I'm sure they started out as a ballast place. They probably would change their name now, maybe to LED driver shop or something. I don't know how many more ballasts they sell, but build your garage 3 foot bigger to fit the wire. Well, my pipe's already up through my concrete footer over there, so it is where it is. Christoph, am I from Tennessee? I don't know if you're talking to me, but no, I'm from Kentucky. So, Abraham's body's looking like he's got a good personality too. Yeah, I'll for sure probably buy from, like I said, you take it. They've got a little spot on their website. You take a picture of the one you got, you send it to them. They come back and say, "This is the one you need," and then and it wasn't like it was a generic brand one that they sent me. It was the same brand as the one that there is. It's just a newer model, And I would have had to done all that research myself to try to figure that out. And then even with that, to program it, you got to be able to hook it up to your computer. So you'd end up having to buy some cables and some stuff to be able to do it. Because again, I don't do that stuff either. So the fact that they did that as well, that's pretty nice. What's up, Mac? No, Christoph, I've lived in Kentucky my whole life. JTX Tools, love the truck video you posted the other day. Yeah, so far I'm really liking that back seat a lot better than what I had. Mainly just because I can get to everything no matter what side of the truck I'm in. I don't really feel like I might have a little bit more storage the way that it is now, but I also definitely have more room for, like, I don't feel as cramped with my seats, and also just that spot in front of my drawers now. That's pretty nice to be able to just set stuff on there, like, you know, LED driver box. So if I'm going out to my truck after I've got this in my mail and I know that's the job I'm going to do, I can just open my door and just set that right there, and it just sits there till I get there. So it's nice to have that little extra space. It's definitely helping me keep the front of my truck a little bit cleaner, because used to, like, that kind of stuff, that's what I threw up there in my passenger seat and all that kind of stuff. Don Mendenhall, anyone got a Milwaukee 2 or 3 drawer you want to get rid of, willing to pay shipping? I just got rid of a 2 drawer to my buddy. He was looking for a 2 drawer. I got rid of the one that's normally sitting over there. Worth, how long have you had your logo, and have you ever changed it? I just made it whenever I actually made it whenever I started the channel, and then I started my business by myself after I started the channel. So I just changed the tagline from tool reviews and stuff to commercial and residential. So that's what I've used for my logo, but I've never changed it. What is the top Little Debbie snack? Swiss rolls, question mark. I'm not a fan of, like, chocolate cakey type stuff. I'm really not a big fan of chocolate, other than like Reese. Like, I like chocolate in my stuff, but I don't like chocolate to be the star. Like, I don't like chocolate ice cream at all. Like, I don't like it's got like a weird taste to it. And then, like, I like chocolate if it's with peanut butter, or like if you go get like a Blizzard or something and it's vanilla ice cream with chocolate stuff in it, that's okay. But I'm not a big fan of something that's real heavy chocolate. My favorite one is the peanut butter cream pies. Those are fairly new. They're pretty new. Zebra cake rolls, yeah, those are okay, because those are. Now there is one of them that was, and I don't know if they make them anymore. They used to be square. They were like white chocolate wrapped around a chocolate cake, and they had little chocolate dots on the top of it. So it's kind of like a zebra cake-ish thing, but it had chocolate in the middle. Those I didn't mind, because I guess that white chocolate on the outside kind of mixed it up enough. But I also haven't had one in a long time, so I don't know if I'd still like them now or not. But they reminded me of a zebra cake, but I haven't seen those in a long time. Some way like the chocolate wafer bars, the Nutty Buddies. The one I ate the most whenever I was a kid, and I don't really like them as much now, was the peanut butter bars. The one that's like a log with a peanut butter in the middle, and you could kind of eat the outside cookie part off and then eat the peanut butter separate. Those are the ones I ate the most whenever I was a kid. But they're not as good to me now. What's up, Chuck Cornelius from Lexington, Kentucky? Now you got me wanting Dairy Queen. You really are a premier influencer. My favorite Blizzard at Dairy Queen, and there's 2 of them that I really like. One is the Snickerdoodle. If they ever got that one, it's kind of like eating a Cinnamon Toast Crunch Blizzard in a way. It's kind of what it is to me. It's really good. But my favorite one is, it's like cherry. It's got chocolate pieces basically in it, but it's mostly cherry mixed in with that ice cream, and I really like it. I can't remember what they call that one, but it's one of my favorite ones. But I like cherry vanilla ice cream. Is a really good ice cream I like too. Star Crunch is awesome, Don Mendenhall said. Yeah, I like those. I didn't like those as much when I was a kid, but I like them more now. That's one of those things where the taste has changed. I think they kind of reminded me of even though they're not, they kind of reminded me of that's like a coconut texture, but that's like the Girl Scout cookies, the Samoas or whatever. I didn't like those at all whenever I was a kid, and now they're one of my favorite ones. And the dollar store has some Girl Scout cookie knockoffs of the Samoas that are they're spot on and they're pretty cheap. Here we are talking about food again. See you quiet. Wait a minute. See you keys. I was still been calling you Quaz. It's keys. TPG said cherries Garcia. That one's okay. I actually got some of that the other day because I was really wanting cherry vanilla ice cream, but that one was a little bit. It wasn't very cherry-y. There was an ice cream I got whenever I was in South Charleston. That was some kind of a cherry amaretto or something like that. That kind of got me on the kick of eating cherry ice cream. And I haven't really found much around here now. Brewster's in the town I work in has a cherry vanilla that's basically vanilla ice cream with just tons of maraschino cherries mixed in with it. It's pretty good. I like it. J. Inc. The best is Reese's peanut butter cup. That's what I get if that's my go-to if like none of the special ones are something that I really want. It's definitely the Reese's is my number one. Bun candy bar maple cream. I don't think I've seen that. Miss Freshy's carrot cake from the local gas station here is my kryptonite, Kiltronic said. Yeah, there's a 5-star gas station up the road from here. They have Amish donuts, but then they've also got like this banana bread in there that it's pretty good. Nothing I like more than good food and that it's cheap. Yeah, cheap food makes you have more tool money. Chuck Cornelius, do I have an update on what bit you prefer to carry with your vessel tang through? For the most part, my vessel tang through. So I've got some of these that I keep in my truck, and I only run these in specific. So like this one, I guess is what you're talking about, like where you can put anything you want to in there. So I keep these handles in my truck because 9 times out of 10 I'm dealing with Phillips and slotted, and I run the Phillips and slotted like dedicated ones in my bag. And then I have my vessel USB that I bought after getting these. So I tend to usually, if I've got something weird, I just throw it in that one because it's already in my pouch. I use it with a DeWalt locking bit holder to where I can just put anything in it. So those are the 3 main ones that I run in a pouch: is a Phillips tang through, slotted tang through, vessel USB with the DeWalt locking bit holder, and then I just use 1-inch bits for whatever the weird thing is, or I put a Phillips in there if I'm doing a ton of stuff that's Phillips. Now in my bags, I normally always just keep Klein like 11-in-1s. Right now I've got the 17-in-1, but just because it's got bit holding with 1-inch bits, so that if I need them. But those right there, like I've got 2 or 3 of those, and I've got the one that's the power whatever with the little spring looking deal in it. I keep all those handles in my truck so that if I'm going to do a job where I need 3 dedicated screwdrivers or 4 dedicated screwdrivers pretty often, I'll basically throw and I normally throw lock and bit holders in them, just to be honest with you, and 1-inch bits. I don't use like bits a lot of times that actually go in them type stuff. I carry more 1-inch bits in my truck, so I just 9 times out of 10 use lock and bit holders. Christoph said, any new tool announcements you're excited about? I'm curious to see what all Milwaukee comes out with. I don't know what they're going to come out with. I always am looking for a new surge every year, but I'm not gonna bank on it. I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. Anyone's Nosters shipped yet? Appreciate that, Ryan. Ryan, and then I'll butcher your last name, so I'm not even gonna try it. I'm gonna assume it's Nargang or something like that, or Nargang. Try the pie version and add a graham cracker base. Give it texture. What's that? What's that, Matt? On the Reese's? Let me see what you... I might have missed something in between. You talking about the Reese's Blizzard? Add the crust. Max said, how you like the new Klein screwdriver? I think it's a pretty good option because, like, well, an example would be like the vessel tang through. I've had a lot of comments of people saying, well, just buy a vessel, you can put bits in it. But, you know, there's nothing that locks this in. That's a little bit different. You know, not that I ever have personally ever had these come out, in all honesty, but, you know, it's not locked in there. So you could, if it's held in somewhere tight or whatever. So it is nice that that one's got a lock and collet on it. But I'm a Klein grip person. I'll get it real fast. I'm actually working on a Ted Cook bag using that SC45. I'm kind of thinking about that's what I'm going to do with it and make this even my first approach instead of even carrying my SPMC or my MP2X. So I do like that it's got the Klein grip everywhere. That's pretty nice. And like I'm talking about probably the most rock solid. And see, I watched Project Pine Hill's video about pushing this thing forward. I don't know if theirs is different than mine or what, but mine doesn't move, period, no matter what I put in there. Like there isn't any pushing this forward on mine. So I don't know if theirs is a little different than mine. Like mine never moves no matter if I push that forward or back, or unless... Yeah, I'm not sure what that was, but I do like this. Although, in all honesty, exactly where the vessel is exactly where my fingers go. But again, if you've got a different hand size, you know, maybe you're more back here or maybe you're more up here, where this is the whole entire thing. So that's kind of nice. But the vessels are perfect for me because it's exactly, like right where that is exactly where my hand fits. So it's just another option. I mean, I don't feel like it's better than my vessels personally or anything, but it's just an option for a collet option where it's really locked in place. It feels more like a dedicated screwdriver. Is this the Klein ball head live stream? Jason, be ready. We just started talking about it, but not really. I mean, if you've got questions, you can ask them. Can I compare the handle size to the Impact 11-in-1 to the Reamer driver? Yeah. I think I did the ratcheting. In that video, I did the ratcheting 11-in-1. I don't know if I got a regular Impact 11-in-1 in here or not. I think I do, but I know I got one in my truck. I keep that one in my bag. I don't think I got a regular. Let me grab it real fast out of my SPMC. Actually, it's not in my SPM. It's in my, where do I keep that at? It was in my SPMC. It might still be. Yeah. I keep it in my SPMC with a different setup. So there's the Impact 11-in-1, just a regular, no ratchet. And there's the Reamer driver. About the same on this size. There it is with the ratcheting. Which I think the ratcheting and the regular is not too far off. It is nice on the Klein too, where you just push the bit in and it locks. I really like that. Like there's a lot of screwdrivers where you got to mess with the collet on both sides, so I do like that. Tony Carrasco, you should try the Works 242. I'll have to look it up and see. Sam Lee had an actual question. Let's see. Can you compare? Okay. Yeah, that's one I just did. Pipeline in 2 weeks. Ryan said I said his last name right. How does the Klein ball compare to the Weehaw locking bit holder? I don't have the Weehaw, so I have no idea. But comment-wise, just based on comments, people were saying the Weehaw will hold 1-inch bits where the Klein doesn't. But I don't have that one, so I don't know for sure. I'm not a huge fan of the Weehaw handles. They're a little bit fat for me. I don't mind them, but they're just not my number one choice. Like I can use them and they're fine to use, but they're not my druthers. Last Best Tool says you can hide a bit internally. Yeah, as long as whatever is, you can even do a long bit like so like this vessel here or the Milwaukee, either one. So if you've got a bit where the shaft part is smaller than the hex, you know, it will go down inside of there. And then that's not going to go past it because as long as you pull the collet and lock it in, it's going to be locked in there. So there's a bit in there right now for storage purposes. And then to get that out, you just got to pull that collet back because this won't go past the stop that's in there. And you could do the same thing with a 1-inch bit. Again, you can't use it. So like here's a 1-inch bit. So I could put that down in there, pull that collet, it's going to drop. And that's in there now. But it's not going to come out until I pull the collet. Because it will lock down in there, but it won't stop. So like you can't even pull it out part of the way. Like I can pull it out part of the way and lock it in there. As far as I can't pull that out now. But whenever you put pressure on it and push it in, it's always going to go in until it hits that stop. So you can lock a 1-inch bit in it. Like that's locked right now, not going to come out. But as soon as I put it on something, it's going to continue to push in until I hit that stop in there. The Klein collet release feel cheap? No, it's and it snaps in too as far as the end. Let me grab a longer bit. So like the end, like all this is metal. It's just this right here, and that would be the one thing that I'm not sure of over time. Like I actually love the feel of it. Like the fact that it's got those ridges makes it really nice, but it doesn't. But I'm curious over time. And the one on this one almost feels, it's still plastic, but it almost feels harder. And the spring is definitely, there's more spring on this one, like tension to pull that down. It takes a little bit more effort than this one. Like this one's actually, I can't hardly do this one. I mean, unless I really press with my thumb, I can get that to come down, where this one's a lot easier. Weeds are creeping up. John said that's not coming up. I think I kept searching both ways. I'd search that part number, and then I was just searching Klein ball handle, and I think that's when I found it. But I made a post and put a link in the post, John, for it. And it says out of stock, but it's never been in stock, so it didn't like it came up in stock and everybody bought the fire out of it. Now it's out now. It's never been in stock yet, because I mean it was literally, I just found it in the last hour. Some ways, and Lexi said, I wonder if you could hide one. Let me try. I'm curious about this because I was just sitting here thinking while we were talking. I'm gonna put a 1-inch bit in upside down. Now, see, I can't see any ball bearings. I was wondering if I stacked a bit, like if I put a 1-inch bit in there and then stuck another one in there. But 1-inch bit in there, once I put that in there, I can't see the ball bearing, so there's nothing to grab a hold of this one. Because I was a little bit curious if there was enough room if I stuck both of them in there. That would be pretty awesome if you could store one, put one in there, and then had it at this length, and then like if you needed to swap a bit, you'd be able to do that. But at that point, you might as well just probably, take your 11-1 or something with you. Or use the bit that came with it. But I mean, you could also take one of these and put that in there and then still have your flippable bit here, nut driver, all that kind of stuff. See that? Now that one's got some play in that one. Oh, that's because it's I'm hitting right here on this little this lip on this right here is allowing that not to go down in deep enough to hit that stop. That's why that's got play. Maybe that's what they were talking about. I hadn't put it, but it's not doing anything where I'm pushing up on that though. So you need something that's longer than this to catch, hit the stop, to make it feel like it's a dedicated screwdriver. Anything else that's shorter, you're not gonna have that. I don't know what I did with the. Stephen, where am I from originally? I've always lived in Kentucky. Luis Corona, what should a good maintenance man know how to do? Looking to learn to be more handy and possibly become one. I mean, ultimately, that's a hard question because it just depends on where you are in your maintenance thing of life and what position you're in and really where you work at. Everywhere you work at, it's going to be different because you can work at one place where you'll run into more plumbing problems than anything else, and you could go work somewhere else and very rarely deal with plumbing. It's more electrical. So for the most part, you just got to be a well-rounded person. I've always thought it's funny because a maintenance person is really asked to be able to know a lot of what an and not the whole entire, thing of what an electrician should know or plumber, all that, but you need to know a little bit of plumbing, HVAC, electrical, and all those things. And yet the pay for it is kind of somewhat funny sometimes of what people offer. But your best bet if you're starting out, I'm assuming you're starting out because it says you're looking to learn to be more handy, is, if you don't have somebody that you work around that is very good, then find you somebody on YouTube that does the vlogs and all that stuff that's pretty good and kind of watch them. But if you've got somebody that you're working around that really knows this stuff, I mean, eat it up like all you can. Ask questions. If he's somebody who doesn't like to answer questions and he just works and you're just there with him, watch all you can. Look up what you can about whatever it was he just did or she did. John said, since you showed the reamer also has a locking bit holder, you still prefer the ball grip. I'm 100%, like if I could have every screwdriver I own in a ball grip, that's what I'd have it in. Like now that I've used the vessels and stuff, it's pretty hard for me to actually The Impact 11 ones and all those I keep in my bags just for space savings. But as far as my preference on if I'm going to grab a screwdriver and enjoy using it, it's going to be a ball handle. Terry said, confession, you might have a tool addiction when you tell your wife about a tool you'd like to buy and then realize that you already have it. Well, see, Miss Maintenance will always be like, because she kind of knows enough about tools and knows what I own and all that kind of stuff that she used to be real bad about, well, you've already got something that does that. You know, you don't need, something else. So it'd be like, for instance, this. I've already got a ton of ball handle screwdrivers, and do I need this? No. Do I want it? Yes. So there's reasons why I buy stuff sometimes that isn't necessarily because I need something. I'm just curious about it and want to know if it's better than what I have, or I'm just curious about how it works and all those kinds of things like that. It kind of blew my mind whenever they contacted me and said, we're making a new Japanese style ball grip and we're curious. This is the thing I've been talking about in the last couple lives that I was waiting for them to send me, because I was supposed to be getting a long time ago. And then they said, we're coming up with a new Japanese style ball grip screwdriver. We were curious if you'd be interested in looking at it. I was like, I don't know if you watch my channel enough if you have to ask that question, but it's like, yes, send that to me right away as soon as you can get it. Jed Parrish, recommendations on pack out custom tool inserts for impacts, etc. I don't carry mine in pack out like a lot of tools like that. Like I do carry a few tools in pack out, like my M12, like Romex staple gun type thing, my M18 router, and I usually just come up with ways to make them fit in there with little pieces of foam or whatever. Like I don't buy the 3D inserts because I always want more money for those inserts almost than what I paid for the tool or what I paid for the pack out case or whatever it was. And I don't store them in my truck that way. I keep them in my bags in the deck drawers or just loose in my other drawers. And I don't want to have to open a case every time to get my tools out. So I'm not the person to ask that, but there might be somebody else in here. Matt said that's the Works electric screwdriver. Yeah, and Matt's saying that's the reason why I like the Vessel USB is because it's shaped like this versus, like I've had a lot of people tell me to try out some other electric screwdrivers. I use the DeWalt and I use the Vessel. I only use the DeWalt because Matt sent it to me, and I was curious about it because of that action where you turn your hand. And I was thinking about it. He said he had an extra one. He wanted to send it to me, so he sent it to me. That's the only real reason why I have the DeWalt ones, because Matt sent it to me. I don't know that I would have ever bought it. But the Vessel, the reason why I like it, it's not the most powerful screwdriver, but I can break free anything with it. I can finish up anything with it and then use basically the power, but it is exactly shaped, just like this. It's not like a tool within itself that's not really a screwdriver. It's a screwdriver that you can also use for power. That's kind of my preferred deal with it. That's why I like it. Lexi said, I'm always impressed with good maintenance guys. There's not much they can't do. Plumbing, electrician, demo, reno. Yeah, and see and the sad thing is a lot of places like don't realize when they've got a really good maintenance tech. And I can't tell you how many people think that everybody within our fields, no matter what field you're in, like they think all electricians can all do the same exact thing. They think all plumbers are like, if you call one and you call another, you should get the same results. Same thing with maintenance people. They think that, well, if this maintenance guy can do electrical and plumbing, then all maintenance people should be able to do electrical and plumbing. And it's not the case within any trade. Like there's different levels of every single one where you've got some people who are super good at a lot of stuff. And a lot of people just don't never recognize it. And it's sad, especially if you're working for someplace and they don't recognize it. And then they don't realize what they've got and they just treat everybody the same or, all that kind of stuff. It's sad. Nobody gets their recognition a lot of times within the trades, which is what causes a lot of people to just say, why am I going to, you know, better myself or pay more attention to things, learn more things, whenever ultimately my boss or the company I work for or the place that I work for, they don't really show any kind of, you know, appreciation for what it is you're bringing to the table. You finally get tired of that. What's up, Backwoods Law? Why bother putting the Klein ball grip down? I just said the other day, what was my new fidget tool that I had just the other day? I normally use my, oh no, that video's not came out yet. Yeah, there's something coming out next week that's a certain release date that I got sent to me that I said that's probably going to be my new fidget thing, because I was sitting there thinking, why do I not have whatever that is in my hand messing with it? I said it's probably going to take the place of the little Knipex Cobra deal. Some ways treatment's working good for them. That's good. TPG, that's why I prefer the N1 types with bit storage in the handle. That's what I run in my bags, because I don't see any way where, I mean, I guess they could make something where you maybe could hold like 4 or 5 bits in this, but I'd rather they not mess with putting bits in this and make the ball bigger. I like it just how it is. Like same thing with the vessel. I don't think there's really a lot of room to make a bit holding screwdriver, and for sure with the tang throughs that obviously can't do that. But I would rather them just be this way, and I got to figure out. I use lock and bit holders in mine 99% of the time. So, matter of fact, that's probably how this one is going to sit here and look like this. I probably don't have any sitting out here because buku's of them in my truck. I know I got some broken ones in here. Yeah. So here's a broken DeWalt locking bit holder, but you know, mine's going to look like that 99% of the time, and then I just have bits with me and I change them out. Almost any screwdriver I have that takes bits, it's got a DeWalt locking bit holder in it. For one, I like the magnetism, and for two, it's easier for me to carry something with 1-inch bits in it that's got a big variety than it is to carry a big case of a bunch of 2-inch bits, 3-inch bits. But the N1s are definitely nice to have like in your 90% bags and, you know, stuff like that. Am I a licensed electrician, plumber, and whatnot? No, I'm just a licensed general contractor. And as a business, I can't do certain things in my city, being Morgan's Maintenance, like the business. Back whenever I worked for somebody, if they told me to do whatever, so I did a lot of stuff on that campus that I'm not going to go in somebody else's home and do it because it's not going to be covered under my insurance type thing. But basically the way it is in my town is if it's already in your house and it needs repair or replacement or whatever, other than like really big items. So like, I'm not saying I'm going to go in and change out somebody's electric panel. Even though, again, I can do it, but I'm not going to do it as my business. But just normal stuff within a house, any kind of a system or whatever, if it's already there, parts need replacing or whatever, I can basically do it under, it's considered maintenance. Don said, if not licensed, make sure you have the customer sign a waiver form. And I've got some customers, like I tell them up front, I'm like, can I do what you want me to do? Yes. But you probably need to have this person do it. And I give them somebody's phone number and say, because my insurance won't cover this if there was something to go wrong with it. I was like, it's not a skill problem or anything like that. I can do it. I said, but I just don't do it under my business. Now, some of them will still tell me, I don't care. And like what Don said, you need to make sure that you note that somehow or other, but they don't care. They want me to do it anyways. I call maintenance guys jack of all. There's two types I run into: the jack that call out others to do the work, and the jacks that do the work. Yeah. And see, where I worked before, I oversaw basically, I think the whole entire campus had we had a big gymnasium, we had a couple big office buildings, we had a big dormitory building, multiple residential apartments. I think there was like 17 buildings in total. And of course the whole grounds, flower beds, mowing the grass and all that kind of stuff. And I basically did everything there. And then if I didn't have time to do it, that's when I called somebody. So like the grass cutting got to be where like you'd be doing that all week long if that's what you were doing. It was like a 40-acre campus. So we hired that out, but I just still had to oversee it, but I didn't have to physically do it. And so basically I got to pick and choose stuff at that point too, of what are the things I want to do and what are the things I don't want to do. I'm going to hire out the things I don't want to do and do the things that I want to do. Oh man, I must be really far in the weeds. I'm getting a Matt saying that it's the DeWalt. Cable says he sees he's up next on Guess the Trade. Yeah. It's Cable and Tyler P. I can't remember how to say his last name without looking at it, so. I don't know if Don's asking me that or if there was somebody else. Trying to bring in new processes and get younger guys the scope of work and the plan going onto the job so things are more fluid. Yeah, it's I saw Don asking a question. I think he's talking to Lexi, but he said, how if you're the leader on a crew doing large projects, how do you get the more senior guys to adapt to a newer way of thinking? And I was only going to bring that up because it's always funny to me. Of course, I'm in the verge of being an older guy, I guess. Yeah. But I work for myself and by myself, so I'm the only guy. But working around younger people, and then at the time whenever I was younger and first started kind of doing some of this, I was working around older guys, and sometimes like even something, I think I've even said this before, like tap cons, we were just talking about, how I've got black and blue and white, and they've got so many different versions of them now. Back whenever I first started, we were using the drill a hole, and it's the little anchor that you put in. You hammer the nail in for concrete anchors. I hated those because it's not the matter of the install part of it. It's the taking those out really stinks. And the guy was dead set. Like that's what he wanted to use all the time. And I'm like, they make screws, right? To be able to, you just drill a hole and put the screw in. He's like, oh, I don't never use them. I'm not going to use them. So my point is there's some older guys, women, people in the trades or whatever, that are just so dead set on not learning anything new that there's so much new stuff that has came out in the last, see that might have been okay 15 years ago. But just think about the advancements in the power tools that we have today and materials and all that kind of stuff. It's like you have to stay up to date on what's new because there's so much more stuff out there that makes it so much easier or a whole lot better quality or whatever it is. And there's some people out there that just are, no, that's not the way I've done it. It's not the way I'm going to do it now. I've always done it this way. Wagos is probably a good thing. You can go ahead and get that started again if we want to. So many people are just like, no, never, no good reason to ever use one of those whatsoever. Should never use one. It's like, there's good reasons to use some of those sometimes. I'm not saying you should use them all the time. I'm not saying that you can't use them all the time. But just to say, no, I've never used those and I'm a wire nut person, always going to be a wire nut person. Doesn't matter to me what somebody comes out with. There's nothing ever going to be better than the wire nut. It's like, well, at one time, I'm sure when the first wire nut was brought out, somebody probably said, these wire nuts, I don't see these as being any good. These are just going to melt. Like, they're always going to melt. You probably need to always do it the same way we've been doing it, dipping it down in, some sort of metal and all that kind of stuff like that and wrapping it in tape. That's definitely way better connection. Those plastic wire nuts are going to melt. I guarantee you those were conversations that went on back when wire nuts came out. I guarantee you that was. It's the same thing with Wagos now. I'm going to scroll. I'm not too far off. Killtronic said I need to grab a lifeboat. I think I'm getting caught up. I was just going to go ahead and scroll and see how far I was, but I'm not too far. I saw a bunch of some way comments, Makita this, Makita that, so I just scroll right past them. Elliot said, I've been at UPS 25 years. I have guys that's been there 3 weeks trying to tell me how to do it. I just looked at him and said, I have been doing this since you were in diapers. And for the most part, that's always going to be right. Like, there's pretty good percentage of chance that Elliot, 100% more than any of those people that's been there 3 weeks, like 99.9% chance. But every now and then, like if we're not willing to listen to somebody and say, at least just say, hey, I'm going to listen to you and see what you say, because they might be coming from somewhere totally different, like work totally different, might even come from another company or something that did something different that you never even thought of. That may still be stupid. Like, I'm not going to guarantee it's not going to be stupid and be like, no, that's dumb as all get out. But they might have something good. And a lot of times people don't listen. So I'm always one who am willing to listen to anybody and their suggestions. Now, pretty good chance I'm not going to take it, but I'm still curious because you might know something. Or even I just take a little grain of something that you knew and I apply it to something within my life. It might work out pretty well for me. Tony said, like you mentioned, for outlets, wire nuts, lights, Wago all day, although I use Wagos in a couple of J boxes that's doing fine years later. Well, and it's like I've said before too, like I use Wagos in temporary electric. So like if I'm going in and we're running wire in a spot or something like that, and then I want to put together a light fixture or something and just basically sit there and use Wagos as my light switch. Or even I need to get power temporarily to this area so we can run extension cords or do whatever. It's like I'm going to put that together with Wagos, even though it's a receptacle, because I'm not going to sit there and twist a bunch of wires together with the wire nut and then untwist them again to break it back apart to put my final connections in something or whatever else and then twist them back together again. It's like you can't tell me that twisting those wires over and over again multiple times is good for that wire. Like it's going to end up making it weaker. So again, there's places for a Wago, but that's my point is like, it's not that I'm saying you should use Wagos all the time or that you should use them at all. I don't care if you use them or not, but for somebody to just say you should never use one, that's like somebody saying I'm never going to use a Tapcon. I like my nail-in anchors better because that's what I've always used. It's like, well, I hate to tell you, but this is a much better product because I can now remove stuff a lot easier and they still hold very secure and all that kind of stuff. It's like there's better stuff out there. It's going to continue to happen. There's going to be more new stuff. Like I said, just think about the power tools in the last 10 years, how much different those are today versus 10 years ago. And it'd be like me saying, well, I still like my I still like my corded, you know, Sawzall or whatever else. And again, there are times where I prefer a corded Sawzall, but there's a better tool out there these days for a lot of the jobs that you're doing. I don't like the triggers on Makita. Don said I'm always open-minded to try new processes and give them their fair chance to see if it can be modified to implement in ours. And like I said, there's pretty good chance in all those cases where somebody's going to tell me something or whatever, pretty good chance that either one, I already know about it, or two, it's like, yeah, I've done that way before and I just didn't care for it. It's not that it's worse than whatever the way is I do it. It's just I prefer the way that I do it better. There's a million ways to do all sorts of things. But like I said, I might learn one little nugget out of however it is somebody does something and think that's a lot better way to do that particular thing. And I might not listen to the whole thing that they say, but I might get something out of it. Does the locking bit holder mechanism work on the driver, or do you have to remove the bit holder to change bits? No, you can just pull back. I don't have, let me go get one that's not broke. That one broke a long time ago. Which I think I know what you're saying now. I might have to on the, if you're talking about the Klein ball handle, you might would have to on it because you're going to be getting into the depth issue of not having enough depth. But it locks into where it's at least tight. But yeah, you're going to have to pull that out to pop that to remove the bit on the ball handle. But like if you're just using that in anything else where it locks in right here, typically you don't have to. So like on this, I don't have to on this. I can just do it. So if you were talking about the Klein ball handle, yes, you're going to have to, unless you get the longer ones. So like this one's a short one. So if you had one that's a little bit longer than this one, you wouldn't have to. This one's normally the size that I run though. Again, I probably ain't got one in here. Like if you had something that's got a little bit longer shaft, it's going to push this farther away basically. You know, your lock would be right there at that point. Matt said, I'm not putting away going to 60 amp car charger. One of these days though, they'll have a Wago for number 2 wire. One of these days. Jamie said Tapcons are also reusable, the larger ones. Yeah, way better in my opinion. Like I said, the nail things hold fine. They go in easy. You drill a hole, you put it in. It's like a wedge anchor basically. But the removing them was a nightmare. Versus now, if I want to remove whatever that is that I just put up with Tapcons, I can just go in there and take my screw gun and take it right off the wall. And again, from a maintenance aspect, if you hang TV mounts on a concrete block wall and they want to move it and then they want to do this, it's like, it's just a whole, if I'm the person who's going to have to take down the thing that I'm also putting up, if I'm going to have to take it down 5 years from now or whatever it is, that's what I want to use. Or like a lot of times I was putting up signs on a outside of a building that was brick or, you know, block or whatever it is. I could drill holes for Tapcons, put those signs up, take those signs down and just put the Tapcons back in there. But I could easily just take them Tapcons in and out every time I put them signs up. Just totally redo it. Much better option. Are there Vessel electric screwdrivers with USB-C? Seems like a lot of them I find on Amazon. So the ones that I have are all USB-C. They're the 3-speed versions. So if you go to my, I think I've got an Amazon store that has like Klein tools that I own list, Vessel tools that I own list, and all that kind of stuff. But there's a 3-speed version, which is to me the best version anyways, because the torque speed on one of the settings is probably the best in my opinion, but it's also USB-C. GRK makes a wonderful masonry fastener. GRK makes pretty good screws. Chuck was talking about the ball handles. It looked like it was too close. Yeah, so they also had, like, this is the shortest one. They've got one that's like a 6-inch. I probably got one right there. Let me look right there on the edge of my truck. Let me see how it works. I don't remember if they've got one between these two or not, but I know they got one longer than this one, but I can't remember if they got one between these. But so, again, essentially, which this would be too long for me. I don't like this long of a screwdriver. But if they've got one that's in between those, you know, that's how. I can't remember if there is or not. I pretty much use these in my screwdrivers, and then a lot of times now I don't mind this length in my impact sometimes because I'm reaching out somewhere. But I don't mind that either, just to do this real fast because it actually catches right there, and then you can pull that and pull it out. It wouldn't be a big deal to me. I'm glad that it does go down in there at least enough where that's solid, because I was afraid it was going to have that play in it. Three, 6, 9. Dewalt also makes a 12. Yeah, I think that one might be a 6. So that's probably the next size up then, is that one. Yeah, that's a 6. The 3 and 6s are the only two I buy. Black and gold electric vessel that's not USB-C. Yeah, pretty much the only ones, and I don't know why they did the 3-speed ones USB-C and not the rest of them. I don't know. Like the black and gold one came out after, like, they swapped and made the 3-speed ones. Like, I figured every one of them that came out after the 3-speed would all be USB-C, but they're still not. Which I guess all they did on that one though is they just changed the color of the housing, so I guess that makes sense. Basically, all still the same internals and parts and all that's just different color. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, it used to not bother me, but now, like, I'm the same way. If it says micro USB on it, I don't get it. Yeah, I saw that. Of course, Tools and Tactics. He put his out the day that I got mine in the mail. Like, I got mine that day, and then I saw Project Pine Hills had one. I saw Doc's video, and then I just saw Tony the technician or something like that. I think he had a video for this morning. I don't know if y'all seen anybody else that had it or not. And then Matt told me that the American Electrician kind of hinted like he had one, but I don't think I've seen a video for his yet if he did. Apple finally conformed, some way said. I was glad to see that because that's been a big pain for me, is because my iPad here is still lightning cable. My old iPhone I use every now and then for stuff is lightning cable. But then I had to keep up with my microphones. I had to have a lightning cable microphone adapter and then a USB-C microphone adapter. But most of my stuff's all USB-C now. I was thinking of a different DeWalt bit holder, one with a flatter head. They've got, I've seen them in pictures. I've never seen one in a store. I've seen the locking bit holder like this with the torsion zone in yellow on the DeWalt too, but I've not seen one like in person or anything. I think I saw them on Amazon, but they were really expensive or something. Tony the Tech was very detailed. I didn't watch it. I saw the thumbnail. Klein Grab and Go and the Reamer will be there tomorrow. I haven't had a lot of lost packages with, which a lot of times, like, I ship stuff to miss maintenance's work because if it's something that's important, I still haven't really had a lot of issues with mine. It's just sometimes I don't get it whenever they say I'm supposed to get it. So I'm more likely to get it when I'm supposed to get it if I ship it to miss maintenance's work versus if I ship it to my house for some reason, especially if it comes USPS, like the Jersey discount store mystery envelope. I was supposed to get that like Friday or something last week, and I think whatever day I put the video out is the day that I came out here and opened it because that's the day I got it. I don't think I got it until like Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever that was. Tuesday, I think. If you can squeeze out 17 to 20 minutes on that screwdriver, you must be detailed. Yeah, that's like that little the swivel adapter. After I got done editing, it was like a 5-minute video, but I'm like, well, what else am I supposed to say about it? There ain't really a lot else you can say about it. It doesn't quite swivel as much as like some of them I've got. Like that's not going to get you in a. It's basically it says 25 degrees, so I guess it's not technically like 45, but it's still going to get you in some spots. The only thing is, like those two together are pretty thick, so sometimes you're going to bump into something if it's a really tight thing that you're getting back into. But if it's not tight, like if you're not going inside of something like what I was doing here, you know, if you're just getting back in somewhere, I think it's going to work fine. Probably be a little bit easier too, like if it was on a longer shaft sometimes, if you're getting in somewhere just to get you farther away with your impact or something. It's something that it'll basically be in my truck, and or even maybe in my little pouch on my SPMC with my flip sockets. And if I run into something, it'll be there. I don't see it as something I'll use like every day or anything. Well, in fact, I know it's not something I'm going to use every day because I've already got a DeWalt and a Milwaukee one that I don't use every day. But that one works with your flip sockets, so that's a good reason to get that one. Some way said, have I offended you? No, I thought y'all were talking about Makita again up there. Something. Sometimes I see y'all are talking back and forth, like you were talking to Lexi or something. Y'all were talking back and forth about something. So if you're talking back and forth with somebody and then you throw a question in the middle of it, I might miss it. Skipped all my comments on being a maintenance man, shield grades, and Klein comping you, etc. I don't know. I didn't see any of that. Let's see. GRKE. I'm not seeing any of the questions of what you're saying. All I saw was a Apple charger, Makita pen, something about a counterfeit. I don't see anything about me. Unless it was way back. Are the Ollie buckets $3.49? That's what the bucket was there. Well, actually, $3.99, I think maybe. I got 10 or 15% off. I had a little coupon, so it might have been $3.99 regular price. I got the receipt actually down in it, I think. Let me see. Now, $3.59 is the regular price. And then I got an extra 40 cents off of it. So I'm not sure what a bucket at Lowe's and Home Depot is going for these days. I don't think I ever pay attention to it whenever I'm in there grabbing one. Miss Maintenance said when the weather cools off, she'll get back in the garage. It's actually with this fan blowing on me. I was out. I filmed this video and put it out right before today. I just got it in the mail, and then I was out here sweating like I'll get out. It was hot in here, but I had the door shut, and no fan blowing anytime I'm filming. That's the biggest difference. Like I said, if I wouldn't even want a mini split out here, if it was just me out here working in my garage and I could have that fan blowing on me, I'm good. Like I don't need it. But whenever I'm filming and I can't have that fan blowing all over me and all that kind of stuff, it gets pretty hot out here. Gonna nickname Miss Maintenance Roundup. Somebody said his first, let me make sure I mention this. I'll even pin it some way. I'm even going to pin it for you. His first cordless was a Porter cable, 14 volt NIMH, and was pretty good. I think my first cordless was actually a Makita. I think I had one of them that was kind of like a pin. I'm trying to think if I had something before that. Like I know I bought like some cheap stuff whenever we first got married. Like I don't even remember what the very first battery powered tool, like drill and stuff I bought would have been. My first big boy set was the DeWalt 18 volt. Like I started buying DeWalt 18 volt whenever I first kind of started actually doing this as something I was doing type stuff and not just working around my house. I can't think of anything I had before that little Makita. Appreciate that, Clint. He missed every comment about a Makita stick driver. I said, you're not so special. Have I ever used ballast to clean and oil your tools? I know you've used Houdini and the other new product you found. I haven't. I've used it to clean guns, but I haven't ever used it. I've been using Houdini for, ever. Like way before, like I started, like probably 10, 15 years, maybe. For as long as I can remember, I've been using Houdini. Like I said, I bought it as a lock maintenance spray is what I actually went and bought it for. I used to go around and, spray all the locks once or twice a year on the whole entire campus. And my locksmith recommended it to me, so that's what I bought. And then it was cleaning like all kinds of stuff, and it smelled really good. And I was like, I'm gonna try cleaning my tools with this because everything I cleaned with it, like it was like really good. And then I haven't used anything since then. TPG said my first cordless screwdriver was a 3.6 Black & Decker. Actually, I did buy, that was my first set. It was a DeWalt, but it was like a 9.6 volt. My first like home set of tools was a 9.6 volt DeWalt like drill. I want to say it was 9.6. Could have been smaller than that, but I think it was 9.6. I know it wasn't the 18 though. My Black & Decker took 4 AA batteries. Yeah, I used to still even have that old DeWalt, the little one. I don't remember what I did with it though. Yeah, I used to be a big DeWalt person. I ran a lot of DeWalt tools. And then my electrical like corded tools, I started buying rigid, like my first real miter saw. Like I bought some cheap ones and all that kind of stuff. But whenever I went and bought a 12-inch miter saw, I found it on Craigslist, and it was a rigid. I went and bought that. I had it for a long time. In fact, I sold it in the last little bit. Like whenever I bought my 10-inch Milwaukee's, whenever I sold that. And then I had a rigid table saw before the one I've got now. I can't think of anything else though. Which I didn't run a lot of other big power tools. Clint said mine too. I still have my DeWalt 9.6, so it was a 9.6 volt. I was thinking that's what it was. Someway said his second cordless was a 18 volt DeWalt reciprocating saw, which was good, and the batteries got crappy. That's the whole reason why I swapped out of DeWalt, which I didn't swap out of DeWalt until they swapped over to 20 volt already anyways. But the last few 18 volt batteries that I bought, like I don't know if they were really old stock or what, they didn't last very long anymore. And at that point in time, I had been using DeWalt for a long time, and I was going to have to buy new tools or buy a bunch of adapters to make my other tools work anyways. So I was just like, I'm going to go ahead and try something else. And that's whenever I started buying Bosch tools. I bought a lot of Bosch 12 volt and 18 volt. And then just very little before I started this channel, I swapped over to Milwaukee 12 volt stuff. And then I've just been buying Milwaukee ever since. The Gator wipes, do they leave the rubber bits feeling grippy? No, I actually started cleaning my tools with those first if they're not like, especially my power tools, not so much my hand tools. I like the Houdini just because it gives me a little bit of lubrication, but they still do pretty good. They're the best wipes I've used as far as like staying wet and all that kind of stuff. I really like them. Woodchuck still got the 9.6. I used to still have it, but now that I'm sitting here thinking, that's what I've been thinking of the last little bit while I've been dazed off in the side. I'm pretty sure I donated it somewhere, got rid of it, did something with it. I don't know. I haven't had it for a long time that I know of. Lockhammer said Makita had a 9.6. Chuck said he's tried Houdini, but he's used Ballastol, but the scent of it's starting to bother me. Yeah, because see, like to me, Houdini is kind of like WD-40 as far as how it cleans and all that kind of stuff, and kind of even similar to how it feels, except I don't feel like it feels as oily, but the smell is like oranges. Like it smells super good. Can you turn off the impact function on the 8 volt DeWalt gyro? I don't think it's got like an impact. It's just got a collet like in a clutch and all that. It's kind of like the M12 installation driver. You can put a collet on it that looks like this, but it's not an impact. It's still just that just holds the 1/4 inch hex. Unless you're talking about, can you turn off the like hand motion thing? I don't think you can. I think that's the only way it works. what's the Houdini equivalent? Maybe buy at Lowe's. Super slick stuff, but they quit selling it at Lowe's too, though. But I think Ace Hardware carries this, if I remember right. Like, you can get it on Amazon too, but locally wise. But if you go to your, I guarantee you, your locksmith, like if you got a locksmith place in town, I guarantee you they got Houdini at it. Lowe's used to carry Houdini too, and then they quit carrying it, and then they started carrying it in little bitty cans, and they quit carrying that. And then I just so happened to find this because somebody told me about it, and it's made by the same people. So I went to Lowe's and bought some of this, and of course now Lowe's isn't carrying that either. But I used to always buy my Houdini at my locksmith. I just go in there and buy a case at a time, and it's actually cheaper there than it is in any other place that I've seen it anyways. Native Texian said super slick stuff. We'll see you, Chuck. My Lowe's, Matt says, still has that slick stuff. Some Lowe's have been clearancing it. Mine never had it. Like the time I bought it in a store, I think whenever I made that video, I actually was in the town south of me, and I was doing some work for a lady at her house that's just a friend of a friend who needed some work done, and they had a Lowe's down there. So I went in there that day, and they had it at that one. And so I bought some whenever I was in there. But some of them had it on clearance. If mine had it, I'd have went in there and bought every can they had. Oh, I was gonna say, where's Matt? Let me see. I got this in the mail from Acme with the swivel adapter. So, Matt, if you want to buy the Crescent rolling cart, you can get 15% off of the Crescent rolling cart using GWC 15. Acme Tools. This is Acme Tools thing. Same thing on gear wrench stuff. If any of you are in the mood for gear wrench stuff, 15% off with GWC 15. So now you can go get yourself that $300 cart and get, what would it be, 45 bucks off of it. And it might be more than $300 on Acme. I don't know how much it is on Acme. I tell you though, I've got all my stuff right here sitting on it. I can never remember the name. Hyper Tough. I can't tell you how many times I've used it since I bought it, and never even that's just like this right here. That'd be a perfect example of if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, you should buy a cart for whenever you're working around places," and be like, "I've never used a cart. Would never use a cart. I've never used one before. It's silly to even have one. Blah blah blah." But it's like somebody sent it to me, and I got to thinking about it. I'm like, man, there's a bunch of times where I just pick up a bunch of stuff and move like 10 foot at a time, and if I could just keep that on that cart, that would be phenomenal. And I mean, it's been a big game changer. It's $50 has been paid for on this thing 30 times for just time savings on jobs where it's like a firm price, not time and material, where I bid something to take me so long, and this has saved me enough time by far to pay for it 15, 30 times. Yeah, I'm really hoping my block guy comes tomorrow. He hadn't called me or anything, which I haven't called. He just told me last week that he's tried to get out here. If I don't see him by tomorrow afternoon, I'll call him and see what he's thinking. because then I'll also, once I get that done, I can also kind of start filling in dirt around and moving stuff and getting it cleaned up a little more. I can get rid of 2 of my pull string sections, because then I can just tie onto the block and pull up here to the front and just make it pretty nice. Even a little platform cart, I'll bring that into some sites. Yeah, just like, even if it's just moving around a room, like if you're just even going to move around a room and do something, even installing receptacles or whatever, if you've got the kind of floor where you can put this on there and just roll it around with you, just to save you from picking all that stuff up from each spot and moving to the next one, it's nice. Miss Maintenance said I wouldn't bet on him coming. I'm not leaning on it either, to be honest with you. I figured he would have already called me by now, but if he was coming. If he doesn't come, it's going to be me and you, Miss Maintenance. We're going to be out there slinging some mud. Setting your tool setup to be efficient and friendly, it's really paying off. Yeah, anytime you can kind of dial in, like it might even take, it's like my truck. I mean, my truck was working for me fine the way that it was before I just did what I just did this last time. I mean, it wasn't anything that was like, oh, this is just miserable, except for the few times where I couldn't open my door all the way because somebody pulled up after I was already there, and I got back out there and I'm like, man, I can't even get in my drawer now or whatever. But that was very few and far between. It's not that often, you know. Or even if that was the case, I could probably still usually get it done with a different tool or something like that, and not even worry about moving my truck or whatever. But even just taking the little amount of time that it took me to do that, it's just so much a better experience. Getting my stuff out makes it more enjoyable. It also makes me more efficient because I'm able to use whatever it is I want to use. I've got more room to have my stuff more organized. Just all that stuff adds up and makes it a lot nicer. Ron Pelkey agrees. He said contractors have been brutal lately. That's just supply and demand. They're very few and far between. And like, especially if you've got small stuff like this out here, it's very hard to get somebody. And that's my bread and butter, to be honest with you, is that's most of my customers. Whenever I go to their house, there's no me bidding a job or me giving them an estimate. Unless, I mean, they might want one or whatever, but once I work for them, they don't even ask, because it's like they can't get anybody else. There's nobody else that will even go out there for a lot of the type of stuff that they have me do at their houses. Like, there's nobody out there that's going to be willing, because there's so few workers and so many big jobs that nobody's going to say, hey, I'm going to take off of this big job over here today where I'm making $60,000-$70,000 on this job, and I'm going to come over to your house and do something for a couple $100. Like, nobody does that anymore. So that's me all day long. It's like, I'll just go do $200 stops a day and just call that my day sometimes, instead of going and working on one of them big jobs, since I'm working by myself. Yeah, it's getting hard. And then the more that they know, the more contractors that know that too, especially if they don't have the mindset of being helpful to somebody and all that kind of stuff, and they're just 100%, I'm making money and that's it. It's like, you can forget it. TPG said he had good luck with the plumber and the guy that did our driveway. Miss Maintenance said, my big pet peeve is waiting for someone to do what they told you that they would do. Well, he didn't guarantee me that he would be here. He just said that he thought he could. So I think he's fitting me in, basically. So I'm not going to get too mad at him. But I will call him tomorrow if I don't see him. I refuse to do the work for my landlord, and he refuses to pay for a licensed guy. Oh, Ron, that's what I tell Miss Maintenance. She's talked about before how she'd like to move into the city and live somewhere where somebody else takes care of like your yard and your all your stuff for you, and you don't have to do that. And I was like, you wouldn't want that because you're used to having me do the stuff around the house, and then you helping me because she's more like me in the way she cares about stuff and all that kind of stuff. I was like, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff that you're going to see these people do inside of the place that you're living at or whatever it is. If it's a condo or some kind of thing like that, I was like, you wouldn't be able to deal with it because they're not going to do it the way you want it done. I can guarantee you that. I have trouble with available work in Austin. Apps, handyman companies, property maintenance, they're all a joke. Matt said little jobs are the way if you have enough of them. Yeah, see, that's what I want to do long term. Right now, I do more big jobs than little jobs. And it's easier, to be honest with you, to do bigger jobs because it's guaranteed, like, hey, I got this job over the next couple months that I'll make enough on that, if I don't find very many little jobs, I'm good type thing. But I would rather do like full days of little jobs. I prefer that than doing a big job. But you got to end up, it takes a while to build up a customer base to have enough of that kind of stuff because, like, I mean, even if you got 50 customers, those 50 people don't have something wrong every day. TPG once talked a landlord out of raising my rent in part because of the stuff I fixed that they were technically obligated to do. Terry Burton said Amanda's right. Too many contractors make promises when they should just say they'll get to it when you can. And yeah, that's a big thing for me too. Like I couldn't stand it whenever I was the facilities manager, and every now and then I'd hire a contractor, and they would tell me they'd be there to meet me, and then they wouldn't show up, wouldn't even call or anything. And then, I mean, if you did that one time, it's like you might as well forget it. You might as well not even come out here and look at it now. You can't. I'd tell them you can if you want to, but you ain't gonna get the job. I'll just tell you that right now. If I can't depend on you to even come look at the job, it's like that means I can't depend on you to do the job. But I'm overly like with my customers 100%. Like I'm going to overly do whatever it is I promise. So I actually usually go on the far end of, well, I won't be able to get to this for, probably longer than whatever I really will be able to get to it, just to make sure I've got enough time and something doesn't come up. Like I'm always 100% up front with everybody. Like I'll get to it when I can. It should be maybe this amount of time, but I'll call and let you know as that gets closer, a better option for it. Because sometimes it's hard, especially for me working by myself. It's not like I can just say, okay, well, I told this person I'm gonna be over here this day, so I'm gonna pull off of this job and let you finish it up while I go over here and start this one because that's what we told them. I don't have that person, so I can't do that. So it's a little bit harder. Mike could's a Southern expression. Matt said, I don't schedule myself to a limit. I give time to show up on time and not be late. Yeah, I'm the same way. Like I purposely don't keep my schedule like slammed. Like I'd rather even have, if I've got extra time in between jobs, I'll just go to Home Depot. I look at tools. I go to Lowe's, look at tools. Uh, I'd rather have a cushion so that if this job isn't quite what I thought it was going to be, or 9 times out of 10, whenever I go to somebody's house, it's pretty much without fail, they've got 2 or 3 other things they want me to do while I'm there that's not in the phone call of while I'm going out there type thing. So then that gives me a cushion to, hey, I'll spend an extra hour here, knock these things out for them and make a little bit more money type thing. Then instead of me being stressed about, oh, now I told those people I'd be there at, 4, but I got to keep this person happy, and I'm going to be stuck here till 3:45. I don't think I can get there at 4. I'm past the point of wanting to be that way. Over yonder, we say that. Thereabouts. Undersell and over deliver. 100%. That's what you should do. Uh, I'm more of the. I'm pretty particular. Like, whenever somebody knows that I'm coming to do something, they know exactly what I'm going to do. Like, my estimates are. But that comes from the mindset of I've done bigger commercial jobs. So my estimates were always so thorough with parts, exactly what parts I'm using, brands, model numbers, all that kind of stuff. Because there was such a leeway for people to really take advantage of you if you didn't like, well, we thought you were including this. It's like, no, it said exactly this is what I was doing, was right here, this material, this bathtub, this shower faucet, this whatever. So I got myself kind of that way. So I'm probably overly in my estimates than whenever I do them than what I really need to be for my business currently, like the way that I'm running it. But you can be guaranteed, like, the people know exactly what I'm going to do. And then I usually do more than whatever that is. Even, like, again, I don't put everything in there exactly to a T how I'm going to do it type thing. But my over deliver is the clean work and, not leaving someone's house a mess, showing up on time, being done whenever I say I'm going to be done. All those kinds of things are the over deliver. And it's sad that it's come to that point that is over delivering and not the expected. But that's what keeps somebody like me from not having to find customers, because once I have a customer, they're like, well, I mean, he showed up when he said he was going to, and he got done when he said he was going to. He didn't tear up my whole entire house. They can't find that anywhere, and that's sad, to be honest with you, but that's the way it is. No such thing as a 10-minute job. This isn't the bulletproof handyman. Here's a southern goodbye. Y'all be good and tell your manners. Tell your manners and them. I asked how they was doing. See y'all next week. I wish I could get a non-aerosol version of Houdini or Super Slick stuff. Yeah, I don't know that they sell it in that. I don't think, because again, it's made to be a lock lubricant, so they're wanting you to force it back in. And again, it works awesome for that too. Like, that's what I've said in my videos. It's like, that's what its intent is, and it works fabulous for that. I just so happen to start using it to clean my tools. Mama and them. That's what I thought you were going. That's what I actually thought you were saying up there, but I was reading it. 37 electrical apprentices began their journey today. That's good to know. That's good to hear, anyways. Which we actually, in my area, electricians, there's pretty good amount of them. It's the plumbers, there's very little. HVAC is a mix. There's more electricians than anything else. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. It's don't let the door hit you where the good Lord splits you some ways. That's the saying. There's always something new every live. And tonight was Southern Sayings. Lexi said, isn't autocorrect supposed to make you not sound dumb? It's supposed to, but then every now and then we get that shark cootie board and somebody's got theirs turned off. Yeah, my autocorrect as far as typing on my I think it's like A, S, and Z. Like that corner over there, for some reason, like it's nonstop. My thumb hits the wrong one. So then autocorrect comes up. But a lot of times I spell stuff right, and autocorrect doesn't know what it is, and it keeps removing it, and I got to type it again. And then unless you hit the actual word up there, it doesn't use it. Like it doesn't think it's a word. But I guess I'm using words that autocorrect doesn't know. HVAC and electricians here. It's one on every corner, followed closely by plumbers. Yeah, we have very little plumbers. Like that's one thing. Whenever, if like say, because I don't do any like, I'll go in people's houses and fix leaks, outside faucet leaks. You know, change out the frost valve and all that kind of stuff, or change out faucets, change out toilets, put in vanities, sinks, all that kind of stuff, like finish type plumbing. I don't do any of the like in nothing outside. Like I'm not digging up in your yard and finding pipes to clean drains and all that kind of stuff like that. But there's very little plumbers. Like I get people all the time that are looking for plumbers all the time. Well, we got guest the trade Saturday is Cable, who is a Vito MB5B infrared. So a lot of you ask me questions about my MB5B that I don't have anymore. So maybe you'll get to see a loadout in that. And then I don't think anybody will guess Cables personally. We'll see. Actually, there could be a few people that do similar things that I know that are in our group. Might see some stuff in there and maybe guess it. If the right person watches it and guesses, they might watch it. And then we got Tyler, who's got a Klein tote. I couldn't find the equivalent of it. Like I guess it was because he said it was passed down to him. So there's one, the number I think that I saw on it looked like that. So I don't think they sell the one that he has anymore. I couldn't find one that had like that gray outside around the outside of it. But I found one that was kind of similar, but it's pretty nice, like tote. I don't think I've ever seen one before, but I wasn't real big into bigger tool bags and stuff like that up until here recently. For the most part, I always just carried something small, and then I had all my tools in my office and stuff like that. That 37er spread out over 18 states. Yeah. It seems like there's a trend of pushing people to realize that the trades is a good option, but I still don't think there's very many takers. I think it's shifted from you don't need to do that kind of work. You need to go to school. That's the better option for you. All that kind of stuff. That was what was pushed whenever I was in school. That was what was pushed whenever my kids were in school. I don't think that is so much being the thing that's hammered out there so much because people realize we're in bad shape. But I still don't think there's that many young people that are, whether they're told that or not, it's two different things. Whether or not they want to do it is another thing. And I don't think there's very many younger people in a big percentage. Again, I'm not saying there's not young people that want to go out and work physical type work and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just saying the percentage is still, I think, fairly low. They want to do things where they're working in offices or working on computers and all those kinds of things. And we still need that too. But I'm just saying pushing it, the mindset shift is a good thing, but I don't know that it's going to change much because it's just the way that most people just don't want to be out in the heat working in 90-degree weather. I mean, I don't like it sometimes either, but I like the work that I do. And I've learned that I love it to the point where I don't mind doing it 90-degree weather because I don't want to do something else anyways. But you have to come to know that before you're out there working in the 90-degree weather. If you start out working in 90-degree weather, 100-degree weather, and you don't know that you like doing that kind of work yet, you're not going to stick with it long enough to realize that you like that kind of work. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do several years from now. I touch wires together. I'm a Sparky. The all black Klein tote is perfect. I seen that while I was looking for it. That looked like a pretty, and it's not very expensive either. That looked pretty good. But I'm gonna go ahead and get off here, get inside, see what's going on in there. But we'll see y'all maybe on the chat on Saturday, and then we'll go from there. As far as I don't have anything coming that I know of for the next little bit on tools wise. I do got something that I've already filmed that's coming out next week, but it's just something I was sent that they're having a sale type thing. But we'll see y'all on the next one. Do the walk of shame.